Nothing yet.
Nothing. There you go. Recording has started.
Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to Let's Talk CFL podcast, episode number 596. I'm your host, Christopher Jones, and we're going to talk some football tonight. That's CFL football. Now, we got the panel up. Right now, we're actually looking at the panel. We got our new format in using Microsoft Teams, and you can actually look at us. Oh, my God. Will's got that face for radio. But that's where we are. So Will McDonald's up in the upper right-hand corner. I don't know if that's where it is for you, but he's got that Stampeders banner in the background. And Charles Cliff is also here with the BC Lions poster in the background. So welcome to the show, guys. Charles, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, just hanging out here on a Thursday night. We're finally back into the plus side of temperature, and all the snow that we had for the last 2 weeks is gone, so I can't really complain. And it's almost a weekend, so I'm not going to complain about that either.
Excellent. William, how are you? And this is your wife's birthday today. Happy birthday to Patty.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear Patty. Sorry. Okay.
We really shouldn't sing.
I hope so.
No, neither of us should sing.
Yes, it was.
I couldn't carry a tune in a bucket.
It was Patty's birthday today. The neat thing about birthdays nowadays is when you're on Facebook, everybody wishes you a happy birthday. Even people.
That's why I don't put my birthday in Facebook.
Because
I don't put the right one.
Because I came home tonight and she said, "Who's this person? Who's this person? Who's this person?" And I explained to her. So she likes to say thank you to everybody. So, anyways,
she did, but she didn't ask you who I was, did she?
No, she knew who you were.
Good. I would be hurt. I would be hurt if she didn't do that.
You know what she says to me? She says to me, that guy who slept in our basement and noticed that we had Port Marion dishes. That's really strange for a guy.
I sorry that I noticed you had what?
Port Marion dishes.
What's that? I don't know what that is.
Yes, you do. You flipped it over and you read it on the bottom of the dish. So,
okay.
Anyways, that must have been a long time ago. Maybe you were on drugs or something that night. I don't know.
No, I didn't know drugs, but I'm old and my mind isn't where it used to be. It's not the trap. Okay, so we're going to talk some football tonight. Are you guys ready for that? William, and everything else okay with you? It is Patty's birthday. We know that. And dinner is Saturday night, right? So she's okay for you doing this tonight?
Saturday night. And then next weekend is go see the grandkids for Patty's birthday. So in Lethbridge. So yeah, it's all good.
Excellent. All good. Excellent. Okay, we're going to talk some football. We have not done any podcasts since Grey Cup. Like I said in the last show, we did post one show. It's up on most of the podcasting apps out there. You can find it on Apple. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on Podbean. You can find it all over the place. So wherever you're finding your podcast, you should be able to find Let's Talk CFL. And we're going to continue to post it. And Sparky's kind of helping me out with a little bit of technicality. We did figure it all out last night. You guys didn't show up for the podcast. So Sparky and I talked back and forth. We found it, got it going. Everything was happy. And uploaded it, like I said. And now everything's going. So he is kind of helping me on some technical side of things. He'd like to start a YouTube channel for Let's Talk CFL, and then we can post them up on the YouTube channel. And that's not a bad idea. We can do that. So people will be able to watch them and go from there. Okay.
Sorry, I did talk to my brother about if he knew any production guys.
Yes.
And he said he might know a couple. So he'll let me know.
Yeah. If worst comes to worst, I can talk to my son. He's really good at editing and stuff like that. So,
well, Charles.
He can probably help us too.
Why have you kept this to yourself?
I don't know. He's done like edited like movies and stuff like that for school and stuff like that, and some friends and him.
Is there a virtual slap, Christopher, or not?
I don't know. There needs to be one. Like fuck. Okay, I don't want to edit the podcast as it's going, but I just want to cut off the beginning of it at where we're doing stupid things, and then all of a sudden I start doing the intro. We need to start right at the intro and carry on, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of it, because I honestly believe that we should do this podcast uncensored. and we always have. And I don't think I want to start doing it now. The only thing that I would like to do if we do a video of some, or if we do edit it in any form, way, or whatever, would be as if we did an interview with somebody else at a certain time, and then we need to insert it into the video. That would be something beyond my expertise. That's definitely for sure. I know Frank Stanishi used to do that. It was Frank's birthday, like yesterday or something. Happy birthday to Frank. I don't know if he listens to our
Frank.
podcast.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So when I was looking for our podcast today, because it didn't show up on Apple right away, but then I eventually did. It showed up on Apple. I Googled on Safari, "Let's Talk CFL podcast." And the first thing that comes up is, if you want to listen to a bunch of idiots and their horrible football takes, then this podcast is for you. This guy caught us in our most brilliant moment. Obviously, it's quite good. I'm impressed, whoever he is.
Well, obviously.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, obviously he listened because he knows we're idiots. So
yes,
No, I wouldn't go to the extremes of calling us idiots. Okay,
that guy apparently did.
Yeah, we're definitely off the chart on. We don't take the mainstream concept on football. That's inevitable.
That's true.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that.
That would be boring.
It would 100%. That would be boring.
That's what everybody does. Who cares?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And we're kind of like art, right? Art. Everybody has their own take on art, right?
You mean like Art Garfunkel?
No, like art as in that you hang on your wall.
Oh, okay. That was kind of a bare naked ladies thing. I'm going to buy you some art, like a Picasso or a Garfunkel.
Yeah,
right.
Anyhow,
okay.
Let's talk football right now. Okay. Well, we got a couple of articles Charles put up recently. I'm going to go back and forth a little bit on this with the head bob. So I'm going to try to move things around a little bit. So I'm not doing that. I need another screen up here. We'll see what happens. I'm working through this process. Cody Fajardo takes a $200,000 pay cut on a restructured contract with the Edmonton Elks. Now, he was traded, or did he go over on free agency? He was traded. He was traded, wasn't he?
Because he wasn't
for what? A bag of hammer handles?
Not sure. Can't remember.
So his total maximum contract is now worth $262,000. That's still about $200,000 more than he's worth. But I know that would put him below the veterans minimum wage. So he has to make at least $100,000. I think it is something like that. 85,000.
I just looked it up, and he was actually traded for another guy we're going to talk about later, McLeod Bethel Thompson. They were basically traded one for one.
Right.
That's right. Yeah. And McLeod Bethel Thompson, we'll talk about him later, but he is now the highest paid backup quarterback in the league in Montreal. So they actually...
Really? And how much is he worth?
I don't know.
Does it say?
It's got to be more than what Cody's making, because Cody is $262,000, because he is definitely a backup. They made Trey Ford starter money.
So that's weird, because that would mean that they really didn't want Cody around, even though he is
not. That's right.
Even though he is a Grey Cup winning quarterback.
So is McLeod Bethel Thompson.
Shows how much credit they gave him for winning the Grey Cup.
Yes, it did.
As much as we did.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Not much.
No, not at all.
I'm going to throw this ball, and hopefully Jalen Philpott will catch it.
And once again, it's not bad for Cody to make that kind of money, because it would be better than the $15 he makes at Billy Bob's Fish Fry in Louisiana, wherever he's from. Okay, just saying.
Is he from Louisiana? I don't think he is.
I don't know. He's some kind of inbred, I'm sure. Did I say that? I can't say those things.
You're not allowed to say those things. No. Okay, I don't know.
I'll
Let's-
look and
let-
see
let's
where
look-
Cody's from.
I'll look it up there. Cody Fajardo.
Fajardo.
There he is. Born in Bree, California.
Oh,
No, he's a West
that
Coast guy.
explains a lot.
He's a fucking woke guy.
Yeah,
He's
that
one of them
explains a lot.
California woke guys. Okay. $3,500 he makes every time he plays more than 51% of the snaps with Edmonton offense. Well, considering they're paying Trey Ford starter money, he ain't going to make a lot of those, is he?
He is
Nope.
not.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I don't think Trey Ford's a starter, so I don't think Cody Fajardo's a starter. So they have two backup guys. Why don't they get a real quarterback?
Save money?
Save money? Well, did you see that article where Ed Hervey was talking about getting rid of the receiving core, that no point in Edmonton having a stacked receiving core? And I said, yeah, no point in it. You don't have a quarterback.
Also on the agenda, or
is
somewhat. Well, the thing about Eugene Lewis, who was pissed off at Ed Hervey for some of his comments, so it was kind of in that vein there.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll get there.
Well, this is an interesting fact people probably don't know, that Cody Fajardo's first year in college football, he was redshirted, and in front of him, Colin Kaepernick was completing his 4-year run as the starting quarterback for the Nevada Wolfpack football team. You probably don't know who Colin Kaepernick is, do you, CJ?
He's the guy with the really bad hair that took a knee.
That's correct. That's correct. I'm impressed. So there you go.
I do know that, because he started that entire movement that he should have been fired on the spot.
I never liked Colin Kaepernick.
It doesn't matter who. If it was Tom Brady, I would have fired him on the spot for doing that, because I do know who Tom Brady is.
Well, and it's interesting though. Fajardo became the second player in NCAA history with a 9,000-yard passing and 3,000-yard rushing. The first guy who ever did that was Colin Kaepernick. So interesting. Okay.
Not to me.
Well, I know, but just saying.
Okay, so Cody's got a restructured contract. He is now in Edmonton. He is an Elk, and I've kind of been figuring this out. Edmonton fans do not like the nickname Elk for their team, or Elks, or whatever the hell it is.
Correct.
And I really didn't understand why. I understand they didn't like, they're pissed off that it got changed from Eskimo, which I am as well. It should never have been changed. But why this serious hard-on for the word elk? And I kind of finally figured it out. What's your take on it?
What's my take on it?
Yeah, why do you think they hate the name elk?
Because they've been calling them the Esks forever, and elk just doesn't have that same persona to it.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Charles.
And I would, if I lived in Edmonton, which God forbid I never have to do that, I would still call them the Esks.
Oh, they're the Eskimos.
Or at least double E.
No, they're the Eskimos. I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, so be it. Charles, why do you think the fans of Edmonton hate the name so much?
Well, honestly, I think I'm kind of along the same line as Will. I mean, it's been tradition. They were the Eskimos for God knows how long. What, 60 years or whatever? And people don't like it when you screw around with tradition, when you've gotten used to something. And people always also think that a lot of people think it was changed for a nonsensical reason to begin with.
It was. And it didn't go through the right process, and it didn't do a whole pile of different things. But I think I know why they don't, because you have to be able to put all of that behind you and move forward.
Yeah.
Look at your football team. Move forward. So why do the fans have agreed that Eskimo can't be used anymore? Why do they hate the Elks so much? Why do they want to change it to something else? And I figured it out. An elk is the only animal in the CFL, probably the NHL, probably in the NFL, that is a prey animal. Everything else is a predator.
Okay.
So it's a bunch of pussies, is what they're saying. Okay, this is an animal that runs from bad guys. That's why they don't like it. It's a
You know,
non-aggressive type of name.
and I think the other reason is let's walk a day in their footsteps, okay? Imagine if the Lions weren't called the Lions.
Hey.
Or if the Stamps weren't called the Stamps. We've been calling those two teams those things forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you should never change the name.
Well, agree.
No, I agree. It would piss me off if they changed the Lions name.
If you could change the name of the Lions, but what would you do? You can't turn around and call them the Goose. You can't call them, ducklings or something like that. You would have to call them something masculine, something aggressive, something, mountaineer.
Okay, so imagine if we called the Lions
an orca,
the BC Pussycats.
No, it's not going to work.
You'd hate that name too.
Well, yeah.
So,
just saying.
Yeah, Will, you got real quiet. Your mic got real quiet.
You
don't know why or how.
There.
Why did it get real quiet? I haven't moved an inch.
I don't know.
No, it got louder now.
It's definitely better now. Anyhow,
okay.
That's my take on it. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Does it make sense? It's a prey animal.
I just think it makes sense that it's not a good name.
It's not a good name.
It doesn't sound right. I've never liked one syllable sports team names. It doesn't sound right.
It just doesn't jump off the page. There's so many other names.
Hang on, Charles. What did you just say?
Pardon? I don't like a lot of one syllable sports teams names. Like we just hit the one syllable. A lot of
like the Lions.
Lions, that's two syllables.
I don't know. That's a push.
Lions is two syllables. Like an example would be the
push.
Jets, the Elks.
But the Jets, that's an aggressive
How is that
name.
A push?
If they wanted to keep the double E, okay, they could have called them the Electric or something like that. But Elks, come on. You know how most elks die? They got hit by cars. Okay, come on.
True. Or they got killed by a different animal.
That's right.
A polar bear.
Yeah.
Or some hunter in an orange suit with a gun.
Because everybody referred to the Eskimos before as the Evil Empire. I honestly thought they were going to go to Edmonton Empire. And there's the double E there, but they didn't do that.
And they could have done that.
And a lot of people want that to happen.
I don't know why they didn't do that, but...
And I don't know, now that you mentioned that, why didn't they make them Triple E and call them the Edmonton Evil Empire? I would have loved that.
That's a great name for a sports team.
I mean, think my favorite name in sports now is the Kraken. Okay, come on, that's a great name.
Yeah, it's an octopus.
Release the Kraken.
But it's a great name.
Clash of the Titans or whatever. Release the Kraken.
Yeah.
In that big, thick Scottish accent.
Yeah.
I got a big bottle of Kraken in the cupboard. It's rum. Okay. Are we done with Cody Fajardo? Because I was done with him 6 months ago, probably 2 years.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add to it?
No, Cody, you deserved what you got, Cody. Have a good life. $268,000 is not bad money for you, buddy.
It's great money for him. Okay, speaking of great money and too much money, Hamilton Ticats make Kenny Lawler
Idiots.
the highest paid
Idiots.
CFL non-quarterback.
How do I really feel? Idiots.
Who, you feel like you're an idiot, or you think that the Ticats are an idiot? Because that guy says that this podcast is full of idiots.
Why are you paying any receiver more than $180,000 a season?
I don't know.
On. I mean, that's almost like paying a kicker $190,000 a season.
But didn't Winnipeg do that?
Yes, that was my shout out to Mark Weddle.
Like, seriously, they paid a kicker that much money. It's ridiculous. Okay, so Kenny Lawler is going to make a maximum of $303,000.
Wow.
Yeah, it's $125,000 signing bonus, $110,000 in base salary, and $25K in marketing money. Okay, so that is $260,000 in hard money. Then he gets another $15K for housing and $2,500 travel allowance. Okay, so he is getting
$317,000.
He's making close to $50,000 off of the salary cap. Okay, yep. So everybody's bitching about Nathan Rourke making $200,000 of marketing money. Now he's making $50K of marketing money, housing and car allowance, which doesn't go on the cap.
He also gets something called a $10,000 one-game active roster bonus, whatever that is. Is that like $10,000 just for showing up?
I think so.
So I'll show up. Pay me $10,000.
He gets, if he shows up for the roster, if he makes the roster, he gets $10,000. If he's on the roster for 15 games, he gets another $3,800 and $500 per game when he has 51% of the snaps on offense.
Huh. They're paying him not to get hurt.
And he earns $3,000 if he wins the league's most outstanding player award.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
It could be $100,000. It should be $100,000.
So now let me ask you this. Has Kenny Lawler been the leading receiver in the CFL in the last 3 years?
No.
I don't think he ever has he?
Okay.
Well, he missed a bunch of last year, hurt.
Okay, so through the last 3 years, Lawler's earned $840,000. Yeah. Which is what? 6, 7. That's more than $250 a season.
Yep.
Okay, which is he wouldn't have been the highest receiver at that because Geno Lewis made $300K last year, but still.
Right, but Lawler made $300K the year before in Edmonton.
I don't think it was quite 300K. I think it was 280. Which I thought no, because Geno Lewis, when I heard 300,000, that's the first ever, I think. But it doesn't matter. I don't think any receiver is worth that kind of money.
That's a lot for a receiver.
Yeah.
Because I think a receiver is one of the easiest spots to recruit players for.
I would tend to agree.
You have to be able to run and you have to be able to catch, and sometimes not even both.
Okay. In 2022, Kenny Lawler signed a 1-year contract with Edmonton for $305,000.
Okay.
This made him the highest paid non-quarterback in the CFL at the time.
Apparently, he still is.
Yeah, and I don't understand why.
He is this year. Geno Lewis was last year.
Yes. I don't understand why.
Neither do I. Yeah, I don't understand why they paid either one of them that much.
I guess it's what the market will bear, and teams just go like this and like this and like this until it hits a certain spot, and he says, "Okay."
Yeah, So, did you guys see that that very heartfelt statement that Kenny
Bullshit.
Lawler put out to the Winnipeg Blue Bomber fans, that how much he loved Winnipeg and how much he wanted to play in Winnipeg and he would have loved to finish his career in Winnipeg, yada, yada, yada. Bullshit. You're a
Yeah.
fucking
In his-
whore.
Hey,
In his defense, if Winnipeg has a clone city anywhere in Canada, it is Edmonton. They are the same city, only in different places.
Okay, explain.
What?
Bullshit. Shithole.
I didn't say that, but if the shoe fits, dance in it, baby.
Yeah. Okay.
Whenever
I've
I go to Edmonton, I have convulsions because it reminds me of Winnipeg so much.
Hey, your voice went away again.
You got quiet again.
I don't know what the hell's going on.
Now you're louder again.
Whenever I go to Winnipeg or whenever I go to Edmonton, I have convulsions because it reminds me of Winnipeg. It's scary.
My condolences. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, he wasn't the number one receiver last year.
Nope.
He wasn't the number two. I don't even think he was in the top 5. How do you justify paying the man this much? How?
Well,
And
like I said, it just keeps on going up and up, and you get into a fight with other teams, and you don't want to lose, and that's how it happens.
trying to find out how old he is too, because isn't he starting to get up in years?
Got to be 31, 2, 3, 4,
That's
something
what
like
I'm
that.
thinking. He's in his early 30s. That's typically the time when receivers will start to slow down.
And so
Doesn't
I'm
say in
just
this
looking.
article.
So who was the number one receiver last year?
Last
What's
year was
his face?
Justin McKinnis.
McKinnis.
Justin McKinnis. Now, this is a
Yes.
ratio breaking receiver,
But
right?
he's also a Canadian.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
He's a Canadian. And we all agree that the ratio is stupid. But as long as we have it, it's important. Okay?
Yes.
I don't like it. I don't want it. But it's important.
So here's my question for you guys. If Edmonton was willing to pay Kenny Lawler $300K or whatever it is, or $280,
305.
what do you think Winnipeg paid Dalton Schoen? And why wouldn't they have paid Kenny Lawler the money he wanted and not sign Dalton Schoen? Because you don't know what Dalton Schoen's going to be like next year.
Absolutely not.
Okay? And if he is good next year, then he's going to try the NFL the next year because he is young enough. He's not that old now. He's only been around for 3 years, I think. So I maybe they think that Kenny Lawler is getting long in the tooth and Dalton Schoen is the guy who's going to replace him down the road. And then once again, how effective is Dalton Schoen going to be without Kenny Lawler or without those other good receivers they have?
Well, that's the trick, isn't it? If you
Yeah.
don't have a stable of receivers, you don't get a superstar.
Yeah, it's easier to cover one guy then.
You get double teamed then.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
If we know the answers to all these questions, how come general managers get rooked into these same things every single year?
Because they have to keep guys to keep people happy.
There is only so much money to go around, and you have to spend it accordingly.
Okay, let me ask you something, Charles. if BC didn't sign Justin McInnes, or if BC didn't sign Nathan Rourke, would you still go to BC Lions games?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter.
Ultimately, probably not.
So, as a fan of a CFL team,
Yep.
since 1971,
Yeah, you're
when
really
I was
old.
9 years old.
You're really old.
Okay.
You're really old.
I'm really old.
So
I don't give a shit who plays for my team,
no.
because 10 years from now, there won't be a single player still playing this team. There's not nobody that was playing 10 years ago is still playing for this team. And there won't be the same coaches. There won't be the same managers. Hell, there won't even be the same owner.
Hell, there might not even be Let's Talk CFL with Charles.
There might not be. But my point being is, I am a fan of the team regardless of who plays for it.
Right.
Right.
You've said this
and there's
before.
people out there who get all upset that the team did not sign G. Roy Simon again, or you know what, or Adam Bighill has been let go from, wasn't offered a contract with Winnipeg. I mean, there's Bomber fans who are suicidal over this. It's ridiculous. They get old, they move on. It's still your team. Who cares who's wearing the jersey, as long as somebody is?
As long as they're winning or not winning. That doesn't even matter.
Just like last week when the Lions released TJ Lee, and people were getting all upset. Oh, they're like, oh, TJ Lee deserved better. I'm like, no, TJ Lee deserved nothing. He's been here for 11 years. He's slowing down. That's what happens in football. Wally Buono was a master of getting rid of players before their time was up. He got rid of, I remember all the shock years and years ago when Wally Buono was with Calgary and he released Alan Pitts. And people were saying, how could you do that? Alan Pitts never had another great season. I don't even know if he ever played in the CFL after that.
No, he never played.
Wally was good at that, knowing when to get rid of guys. It wasn't popular, but he didn't care. He knew it was the right time.
100%. And where do all-star players go after great coaches release them?
Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan. My favorite player on the BC Lions, not all time, but at the time, was Jason Claremont. Right? And I understand him wanting to go back to Saskatchewan. That's where he's from, and play for the green and white. But he never did anything again.
Nope.
Right? So, and who was the other guy? Brent Johnson was another one. He didn't go to Saskatchewan, but kind of disappointed when he left. And there was another Brent. Brett. What was Brett? He's a firefighter in Poco.
Brett Anderson.
Brett Anderson. Again, disappointed. I was disappointed when they didn't re-sign him. But hey, so what? Move on. There's somebody else.
For me, Calvin Anderson and Joffrey Reynolds. They were all-star running backs in the CFL, and they ended up in Saskatchewan.
We have to do something about your mic, Will, because I literally didn't hear a word you said.
I heard him, but it was very muted.
I don't understand because I'm maxed out my volume right now. Can you hear me now?
But not a little bit, but not much. But just to correct something you said there, Will, Calvin Anderson did not go to Saskatchewan. He came to BC.
Your mic's muted now, Will.
Muted. Now you're completely muted.
I said he was in Saskatchewan for at least 1 year.
Okay, maybe he was. Maybe he went there after BC after they cut him.
Yeah. So. Okay.
Yeah, that's a little better.
Is that a little better?
Yes, that's much better. Thank you.
Okay.
Calvin Anderson never played for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
I do believe he did.
I'm looking at the thing. He played for the Calgary Stampeders for 8 years. He played for the San Francisco Demons for a year, and he played for the BC Lions for a year.
Yeah.
And that was it. Anyhow, beside the point. Okay, so Kenny Lawler, see if it comes back down to what we always have said: younger, quicker, faster,
Younger, cheaper, faster. Yep.
Right. And Kenny Lawler is not worth $300,000.
No, I don't think so.
No receiver is worth $300,000.
No. And I think that they signed Justin McInnis, and I think he got paid $260 or something, which, in my opinion, is too much money for a receiver. But being a Canadian, he's probably got a bit of a bonus there.
Yeah.
Although I disagree with it. He's definitely worth a little bit of a bonus being a Canadian with the ratio.
Mm-hmm.
Shit, if Lamar Durant gets fucking bonuses for being a starting Canadian, then fucking Justin McInnis should as well.
That was so embarrassing.
It was so embarrassing. Okay. And I'm sorry. Oh, I lost my iPad. Okay. So next on the agenda, where are we got? Where are we going with this? Montreal Alouettes GM Danny Machocha comfortable with McLeod Bethel Thompson being CFL's highest paid backup quarterback. Well, I hope he's comfortable with it, because you know what? He's paying it.
He's the one that traded for him.
He traded for it, and he signed the contract.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm okay with it too. I mean, personally, I think he's probably the best backup quarterback.
Now, I'm wondering if Cody screwed up.
Your mic's gone again.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me?
No.
Really? Because nothing changes.
Because that's good.
What's good?
Now you're sound better. It's seemingly going in and out for some reason.
I have no clue.
He's making $185,000 in hard money with an additional $72,000 possible in playtime incentives. I honestly think that Cody Fajardo is making more money. McLeod Bethel Thompson will make more money if he plays all the games. But I think Cody's, if they both sit on the wood for the entire season, Cody makes more money. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yes. I believe so.
Because Cody's hard money is $180,000 in hard money, and McLeod Bethel Thompson's making $185,000 in hard money.
Okay, so it will still be McLeod then.
It will still be McLeod. Yeah, he's got
not by much,
on him.
But
not by much. You might as well have kept Cody. No. I think McLeod Bethel Thompson is at least a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If your Davis Alexander experiment does not work, the law department can step up.
Yeah, you got the veteran guy there, so I think that's smart.
What was that?
What?
I don't know. Something was funny. Okay.
How do I sign now?
You sound
good.
Awesome.
Okay.
Now you got quiet.
Well, no, I didn't say anything.
You said okay, but it was very quiet.
You did. Yeah.
Maybe I said it really quiet. I don't know.
Well, don't.
Okay. I'll be loud.
Be loud. Be aggressive. Be the Will that we're used to.
I've never been aggressive or loud. Come on. Anyways.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't understand what Cody Fajardo did in Montreal. That I mean, why did they get rid of him to replace him with McLeod Bethel Thomas? I don't think he's that much better of a quarterback.
You honestly, my opinion of that is I don't believe Cody was willing to negotiate his contract in Montreal.
Yeah, I could believe that
Right.
because he's an arrogant dickhead. But
right, so I think he still wanted his $480,000 or whatever he was earning at in Montreal. He would not renegotiate his contract, so Edmund or Montreal traded him.
Yeah.
right.
And I think the other
I
thing
could be
is that,
wrong.
yeah, I think the other thing too is that Cody Fajardo was the starter there in Saskatchewan, and if they, or excuse me, Saskatchewan, well, he was the starter, but in Montreal, but he was the starter there in Montreal, and to convince the other players and stuff like that Davis Alexander is the guy now, I think they had to get rid of Cody Fajardo to make him the guy. I know McLeod Bethel Thompson or Thomas or whatever came back in, but he hasn't been an Alouette starting guy before. But Cody had. So to further just put it through that it was Davis Alexander is the number one guy, I think they had to get rid of Cody.
Well, agreed, because there's no way that arrogant prick would allow that to happen the way that it did. I mean, he's an egomaniac.
He is a
Now,
little
here's a
arrogant.
question
That's
for you.
sure.
How many games did Davis Alexander start last year? It was 5, wasn't it?
I want to say 4 or 5. I don't know the exact number.
5. And he went 5-0.
Yep.
Okay. So in an 18-game season, there's 13 other games.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Cody Fajardo went 8-5.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's not stellar.
No. 5-0 is better.
5-0 is better. Oh, there's a tie in there too. I think that was actually Davis Alexander got the tie. So it might be 4-0-1.
4-0-1. Still a better record.
Still a better record. And he is now the number one guy in Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
And for all considerably less money, I would say. Oh, geez, keeping me awake. Okay. Don't try to degrade me. Red Black's Eugene Lewis fires back at Elks GM Ed Hervey following free agent departure. Now I can't click on this because it's missing its space.
Oh.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I must have forgot to put a space in.
Yeah. It makes it challenging.
Yep.
Oh, well. Doesn't matter. So what is Eugene Lewis is pissed that Ed Hervey says that I'm getting rid of my receivers? Is that what this story was about?
Essentially, yes.
Well,
I'm trying to pull the actual article up.
He should be happy to be out of Edmonton, quite frankly, because they don't have a quarterback.
Well, and in reality, I hate to say this, but Eugene Lewis was overpaid last year, big time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, but he didn't have a quarterback.
You still have McLeod Bethel Thomas, who can throw the ball.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm not. there's no defending what happened in Edmonton last year. They should have been a lot better than they were, and they weren't. They never did turn out, and you can't blame them having Jarius Jackson as a coach.
Oh no, but they had this other coach before Jarius, and he was a horrible coach. I can't remember his name.
Yeah. I remember him.
Now he's in college
basically
as a defensive coordinator, so he can't be that good of a head coach.
Anyways. So basically what Ed Hervey said is he actually addressed Eugene Lewis directly, saying he didn't know what the price tag was. He said he was not going to pay him the $300,000 that he was paid before. He said he wasn't looking to re-sign him before free agency. And he said, I don't know what his price tag is going to be. We're going to see what the market set for him. If someone is interested in that ticket, more power to them. But he said he wasn't going to pay Eugene Lewis $300,000.
Good. Was he the guy who originally paid Eugene Lewis $300,000, or was that Chris Jones?
That was Chris Jones.
Well, you're gone. I can't hear you.
Yeah, you're louder and then you're quiet. I don't know why, because you don't seem to be moving or anything, so that doesn't make sense. I'm wondering, is it the mic on your computer that you're using? Basically, just speaking into it might be a problem with the mic or something like that, because it's weird, because it goes louder and it gets quieter.
Yeah. Okay.
Sometimes it's almost like you're whispering.
Yeah. Okay. And I whisper all the time, so let me work on it. Keep on talking, CJ.
Yeah. Well, you're talking and I can't hear you, so I'm just quiet. Anyhow, there's nothing more to say about Eugene Lewis. Geno Lewis. He's in Ottawa now. He went from Trey Ford to Drew Brown. Not a step up. I just don't know. You know? So sad as it is what it is. Okay, so 3 Down Nation does a CFL power rankings. Let's talk about this one because this is going to be fun. Okay, 3 Down Nation CFL power rankings. Elks offseason splash creates ripples but doesn't moisten the podium. Now, I have zero respect for 3 Down Nation. I'm sure they don't have any respect for Let's Talk CFL either, but that's beside the point. And they can say what they want. But I don't understand how they come up with some of the stupid shit that they post. I mean, some of their articles are absolute junk, and this is one of them. The number one team, the number one power ranking team in the CFL at this point in time, according to 3 Down Nation, is the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I honestly don't know if Saskatchewan's going to make the playoffs this year. There's no way in hell that I can say they're the number one team in the league. I couldn't do it. Yes, they had 9 All-Stars on their team, and they signed them all. Whoopee. Thank you. Way to go. Did you win the Grey Cup? No. That means you need to get better. What you had wasn't good enough. Do you have the same quarterback? Yes. Do you have the same O-line? Yes. Do you have the same receivers? Yes. You've made no splash in free agency. You haven't gone off and done anything awesome. What takes you from 5th place in the power rankings to 1st? What does? What did they do that was so special? Charles, can you tell me?
They signed Jake Mayer.
They signed Jake Mayer. They traded for him.
Who did these, by the way? Does it say, 3 Down staff? Yeah, no one wants to put their name on it.
Well, actually, no. It says they did a whole pile of them. 3 Down Nation's Power rankings are created by having 12 contributors rank each team 1 to 9 independently, then averaging out the scores. The previous week's rankings are in the brackets. As always, please be sure to check back every Monday morning for our updated power rankings following each week of action. So 12 people, on average, picked the Saskatchewan Roughriders to be the number 1 team in the CFL.
Well,
how the fuck do you do that?
Because there's more Saskatchewan fans that are on these surveys than anywhere else.
Yeah, but it's not a survey. It's the news contributors.
They have nothing to do, and that's why.
But Corey Mace has created a great culture there, apparently.
Yes, he has.
And I don't doubt he has. I think they are light years ahead of where they were with Craig Dickinson.
Sure they are.
Okay?
Yep.
Calgary has him now.
Shut up.
He's the special teams coordinator because Mark Killam was no fucking good.
Yeah, I guess. Who is BC's backup this year?
What's that?
BC's backup this year.
Jeremiah Mazzoli.
Jeremiah Mazzoli.
Okay, so how are you going to feel when Nathan Rourke gets hurt and BC trades for Cody Fajardo?
They won't.
And Jeremiah Mazzoli are the backups. Is the backup.
I honestly think as Jeremiah Mazzoli, I have not said a lot of good things about him, and nor have you, William.
There's nothing good to say about him.
But as a backup quarterback, who would you rather have, Jeremiah Mazzoli or Jake Mayer?
Well, Jake Mayer can actually walk.
As long as nobody takes out Mazzoli's knees, he could be okay.
No, Mazzoli can't walk. He's still hurt. Okay? Sorry.
I quickly have to step away for 1 second. I will be right back. I just have to quickly step away from here.
Hope everything comes out okay.
Yeah.
It's potty time.
Oh, Lord.
Okay.
But
the number 2 team. We can't pause the podcast because Charles had to go potty. So we're going to keep going.
Yep.
And the number 2 team is, who do you think's the number 1 team in the league right now, William? Toronto Argonauts, who won are defending Grey Cup champions. Montreal Alouettes.
They got raped.
100%.
I would say I'm going to go with Montreal, actually.
You're going to go with Montreal with Davis Alexander as their starting quarterback.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. Maybe not.
Okay. Pretty hard to knock Winnipeg out of the top spot with Zach Calero still intact and a good O-line.
But
even though they're all older.
They lost a lot of players.
They lost a lot of players.
Yeah, no, I would probably say Winnipeg.
I can't say Winnipeg is not the number 1 team until they're no longer the number 1 team. Until somebody else takes them out of that position. And just because they lost the Grey Cup doesn't mean that they're not the number 1 team. It just means they weren't the number 1 team on that day.
You know what? I had an interesting perspective on that today, and my brother had never mentioned it before. And he said to me today that he was glad that Buck Pierce was gone. Because he blames Buck Pierce for not running the football in the Grey Cup last year. Which is an interesting concept.
I don't know if I would do that or not.
Yeah, but that's what got them there. Let's face it, that's what got them there.
Brady Oliveira, number one rusher in the CFL.
Yep.
And who was number two?
What's his name in Toronto?
William
William
Stanback in
Stanback.
BC.
Or was it Stanback? Okay.
And he would have been the number one receiver if BC actually fucking ran the ball.
Right. So, interesting concept.
So, number two, Charles, while you were gone, we asked Will and myself who we thought would be the number one team in our power rankings right now at this point in time. Who would you put in that position? And Will did come out with Montreal, and then I reminded him Davis Alexander was the starting quarterback, and he said he had to change his mind.
I kind of hate to do it, but I would probably go with Toronto just because they are the Grey Cup champions. They lost some guys, but they still have a lot of their key players back. And the big thing for me was Wynton McManus went back to Toronto. And I think the defense is the strength of their team. So maybe I would stick with them, not begrudgingly, because I don't like Toronto.
What was the best part of the Toronto Argonauts?
The defensive backfield.
Their defense.
Right, and it got raped.
Well, that's a good point.
And it got raped.
Yeah. You might go, well, Winnipeg's lost a bunch of guys too.
Yeah. But until they get knocked out of the number one position, how can you not put them there?
Well, people could say you did get knocked out of it in the Grey Cup when you lost.
They lost one game on one day.
But they still have Zach Collaros.
They still have all the
big... Collaros, Oliveira, Dalton, Schoen. It's a good point. Maybe you would put Winnipeg first.
I have to.
And they are starting to revamp their defense.
Sorry, Will, you're quiet. What was that you said?
They are starting to revamp their defense.
Yes.
I think
they are
have
getting younger.
Yeah.
Before their team has heart attacks.
I was going to say they have to because their offense is starting to get old. And they're losing guys. So they're going to have to
Stanley Bryant is 39 years old this year.
Then again, Willie Jefferson's still on their defense, and he's what, in his 40s now?
No.
No?
No, we had this discussion online. The oldest player in the CFL right now is going to be turning 40 in April, and that is, or 40 in May 15th, I believe, and that's Ray Paradis.
Rene Paradis. Oh.
Okay. The number
player.
2.
He's a kicker.
The second oldest player is turning 40 in August, and that is Sean White. Another kicker. Okay?
Kickers don't get hit, so they can stay for a while.
Yeah. Stanley Bryant is turning 39, and he is doing it 24 days before Trevor Harris turns 39.
So how old is Willie Jefferson then? Because he seems like he's been around.
He's not. He's like 35.
He's 34. I just checked. He's 34.
Huh.
Yeah. He's not that old.
I thought he was older than that.
No.
I even thought McLeod Bethel Thomas was 40, but he's only 36.
Yeah. He's just a young buck. Only because he dyes his beard. A little vain. Okay, so 3 Down Nation in number 2 spot puts Montreal Alouettes. You can't argue that.
I don't have a problem with that.
Me either.
You could pick Toronto. You could put Montreal. You could arguably pick BC, but you can't. Montreal's okay. It's a good pick. This is where it gets funny. Who do you think they got at number 3?
I know who they got because I'm looking at the article.
BC.
Nope.
Ottawa Redblacks.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Now, Will, at the beginning of this podcast, you said that you Googled Let's Talk CFL podcast, and somebody said these are a bunch of idiots that know nothing about football. Now, Three Down Nation, who is supposed to be the authority on media for the CFL, picked Ottawa Redblacks to be 3rd.
Uh-huh.
In what world does that make sense?
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
I'm surrounded by idiots. I really am.
The Red Blacks have made a number of moves in the months since that signal they'll be a serious contender. The additions of defensive coordinator Will Fields, I don't know who that is, special teams coordinator Rick Campbell, glad he's out of BC, will take a load off Bob Dice's mind while putting Eugene Lewis and Justin Hardy and Khalil Pimpleton as potentials to create offensive fireworks not seen since their Grey Cup win. Braylon Addison will no longer need to take snaps at running back with Williams stand back. Daniel Adobe, I don't know, and a healthy Devontae
Williams
vying for touches while Peter Godber provides an upgrade at center. I honestly don't believe that the addition of anybody is going to make Ottawa better. They're just Ottawa. I honestly don't think that you could have Tom Brady as quarterback in here, and I don't think they're going to be any better than they were. It's Ottawa. And I know that sounds bad and prejudice and whatever you want to say, dismissive, but they're Ottawa. And I don't see Ottawa doing anything substantial this year.
But Ottawa's in the East.
Ottawa's in the East. I think Hamilton made some good moves. I think they'll make the playoffs this year. Who's going to miss the playoffs? Toronto, Montreal, or Ottawa? Ottawa.
But
they're the most likely.
Again, and I'm surprised I'm saying this. Usually this would be something CJ would say. How good is Bo Levi going to be this year?
Who knows?
He's got some weapons that he didn't have last year.
He's got some amazing weapons
last year.
Yeah, he did.
So if you protect him and you've got some good, talented receivers, maybe they're going to win some games. Now, we all know that a lot of Bo's stats came in garbage time, and garbage time in Hamilton games was like after the second or third minute of the first quarter.
Yep.
They were so far down by then, it just doesn't matter. But that's beside the point. I think Hamilton's a better team. So Three Down Nation putting Ottawa in 3rd place over Toronto, even
over Winnipeg,
makes no sense. And Winnipeg and BC
and Hamilton.
Yep.
In 4th place, they have the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. A little low, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The Bombers have been to 5 straight Grey Cups, and you don't have them in the top 3.
You go figure that one out, because I can't.
But Ottawa's there.
Who didn't Oh,
And
they did make the playoffs
Saskatchewan's there.
last year.
When's the last time they were in a Grey Cup?
Who?
Saskatchewan. You got Ottawa and Saskatchewan in the top three, but not Winnipeg. You don't have the 5-time or 5 straight Grey Cups or the Grey Cup champions in the top three, but you've got Hamilton and Saskatchewan in the top three who haven't seen a Grey Cup in like
They have Ottawa, not
God
Hamilton.
knows. Ottawa and Saskatchewan, sorry.
Yeah.
Makes no
Yeah.
sense to me.
None.
Oh
Makes
my
zero
God.
sense.
These are terrible, terrible power
Oh
rankings.
my God. They have
Oh my God.
BC they have BC at 8th and Calgary in 9th.
Yeah.
I know.
Wow.
Honestly, I don't hold a lot of hope for Calgary this year, but I believe they got a hell of a lot better by having a quarterback. So I'm not picking them for last in the West. But arguably, BC, Calgary, and Winnipeg have the top 3 quarterbacks in this league.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I mean, who else is going to beat Nathan Rourke, Vernon Adams, or Zach Claros? Davis Alexander, Trey Ford, Trevor Harris, Chad Kelly,
Drew
Levi
Brown.
Mitchell, Drew Brown.
On any given day.
Those are the 3 top quarterbacks in this league right now.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. And in 6th place, you have the defending Grey Cup champions, the Toronto Argonauts.
Unless, yes, like you guys said, those guys, their secondary got depleted, but still, they've got some really good talent on that team, even without those guys. And to drop the team that won the Grey Cup to 6th behind guys like Ottawa and Saskatchewan, no, it's ridiculous.
I absolutely cannot stand the Toronto Argonauts. I cannot stand their quarterback, but I can't put them in anything lower than 3rd place.
This is not justified. Done by 3 Down Nation staff. Get a new staff.
Your staff's no fucking good. I don't understand how they can do that. Hamilton Tigers in 7th place.
Oh.
We can't argue that. I don't think they are, but I can't argue it. Until they actually perform, they miss the playoffs. Until they actually do something substantial, changing names on a piece of paper doesn't make them a Grey Cup contender.
Nope.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I love the Hamilton Tiger Cats. They're probably my 2nd favorite team in the league. I think they have some serious problems in the front office. And until those are rectified, starting with ownership, Hamilton's not ever going to amount to much. More than Ottawa, but that doesn't say much. It's not setting the bar really high.
Nope.
And in 8th place, you have the BC Lions.
Okay. AI could have made a better power ranking than this nonsense.
Oh, how do we do that?
Throwing darts at a dartboard would be better than this. This is horribly, and the reasoning doesn't make any sense.
I don't think the guy who wrote this article watches football. That's all I'm saying.
How do you get an AI thing?
Oh, there are different apps and stuff like that you can download.
Yeah, but doesn't it come up and doesn't Google do that?
I think there is. I don't know how to do it though. I know Facebook's got an AI, but I don't know if it'll make power rankings or not.
Yeah, Meta. Okay, and in ninth place we have the Calgary Stampeders.
And they were probably the worst team in the CFL last year, but I do think they've gotten better.
They have a quarterback.
Yeah, which they didn't before.
They have receivers.
They brought Dominic Rhymes in, who we know plays well with Vernon Adams. We saw it here in BC.
Yeah. Who's their running back? William.
Peyton Logan.
Right.
And
I mean, granted, the biggest drawback is Dave Dickinson, but
they say the sudden release of Demario Houston was a big thing too. Well, let's have the wife beater on the team just because they could get better.
Yeah. Hey, hang on. Dave Dickinson is not doing his job if he does not know what Houston's past record is. His history. This is not a first-time offense for him.
Yeah, this was a problem
first
before
time,
he even got
first
Calgary.
time he's ever been charged.
First time he's been charged, granted, but aren't you supposed to know the background of your players? I would think so.
We'd have to dig into it because they signed him as a free agent last year out of Winnipeg. So, and he was one of the top free agents out of Winnipeg last year. Right?
Yeah, No, the only thing that comes up here right now is Three Down Nation's power rankings. We got a way too early power rankings by Three Downs or by CFL staff.
Yeah, but it's not way too early. It's way stupid. Okay, sorry.
Wait a minute. Listen to this part. The head coach and general manager scapegoated two of his most well-respected assistants, which he did, but said he promised big roster changes, but managed only whimpers. Really, bringing in guys, bringing in Vernon Adams as a whimper, bringing in Dominic Rhymes as a whimper. Nah.
How can anybody respect Three Down Nation? How?
Well, we never have.
We never have. But there's people out there who think that this is the greatest news. This is where I get all my CFL news from, Three Down Nation. And I go, so you're ill-informed.
That's why there's so many stupid people out there who talk football.
Oh, my good Lord. Okay, so that's the power rankings from Three Down Nation. CFL on February 21st. Oh, that's 2024. That's a year ago. I still respect these ones better.
Yeah.
A year old and they're still better than these ones. Okay.
Yeah.
Enough of that bullshit. Get out of here.
Yeah. Get out of there.
Lucky Whitehead retires.
Can I say it first?
Go ahead.
Who cares?
I actually do. I think that Lucky Whitehead was a very talented receiver. He made some amazing plays. And he had a big character. And he was entertaining in our league. And let's face it, football is an entertainment business.
But I think he was entertaining for a little tiny bit. That's it.
What's that idiot's name? The other receiver.
Which one?
Denarian
He was in
Grant.
BC. No. Duron Carter.
Oh yeah.
Again, very talented receiver, big character, on and off the field. You know, and yet nobody wanted him. Yeah, is it because he's bad in the dressing room? There's a lot of negatives with both of these guys, but there was some huge positives. I think the league is a lesser place without Lucky Whitehead in it. Personally,
to me, he was a blimp as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Lucky Whitehead, he had some explosive talent, although he did get injured quite often.
Yeah.
And as a wide receiver, he was a bit undersized, but
But he was fast.
He was definitely fast.
Yeah.
He was good as a receiver, and he was very good as a special teams player as well.
And as a kick returner, he had electricity.
Yes, he did.
So it's hard to. I'm like I said, I think the league is a lesser place without him. His character was worth having in the league. Okay. Who's got an echo? Do you hear it?
Sounds like you.
I don't know where that's coming from. Anyhow,
I don't know.
The last thing on your agenda here, Charles, is fullback David Mackey announces his retirement. Now, this is not news in this CFL overall scope of things because David Mackey was a Canadian fullback for the BC Lions. That's not an exciting position. That's not a high-paying position. That's not anything spectacular. Although the BC Lions did use the Wildcat formation last year several times on short yardage, where a direct snap to this big fullback for the first down. I think he made it just about every time. That was kind of cool. It's exciting. I'm disappointed David Mackey is no longer on the BC Lions to be doing this. We can't utilize that play quite the same unless you get another big-ass fullback, and which they all are. So, yeah, it could be that. But the point of the retirement isn't so much that he's no longer a football player. It's that he left football to be the executive director of the CFL Players Association. So he went from around $100,000, $90,000 salary up to $200K as the highest paid union representative for Canadian football. And that's kind of what made news here. It wasn't so much that this fullback retired. Comments, Charles?
Yeah, I'm kind of sad to see David Mackey go because
100%.
Last year he was so effective in that short yardage. He was basically acting as a short yardage quarterback. And on a few of those plays, he actually broke them for some pretty decent runs because he's such a strong runner. He was able to power his way through the line and keep running. In fact, I think he scored a couple touchdowns on it. But hey, I mean, you got to look at this guy. He's going to make more money. He's still involved in the CFL, and he's not going to take the beating that he does as a fullback. So, I mean, you got to think of it from his point of view. I mean, this just kind of makes sense for him. I mean, like I said, sorry to see him go. He wasn't like a superstar in the league or anything like that, but for what he was, especially last year, he played his role.
So let's just say that he is a third-string quarterback because he wasn't. He was a fullback.
Right.
excuse me, he did as well as Thomas Stevens. Is that Tommy Stevens in Calgary?
Tommy Stevens, yeah.
Chris Strebler in
Saskatchewan now.
Winnipeg. David Mackey in BC. It's all kind of the same thing, right? Big, huge guys get the ball, fall forward, first down.
Right.
Because Tommy Stevens can't throw the ball. Chris Strebler
No.
can't throw the ball. And David Mackey was never asked to throw the ball.
That wasn't his purpose.
It wasn't his purpose, nor is it Strebler's purpose.
No.
Right? So I think it's not a difficult position to fill. You should be able to find a big bruising fullback to replace him. It's notoriously a Canadian position. Sean Millington. You know, it's not hard to find another Canadian fullback.
No, it's not.
And
There's
all
a
you
lot
have
of
to
them.
do is teach him to get the ball under center, which is actually not as easy as what people believe it is. It's a lot easier to go out of the shotgun than it is to be right under center.
Mm-hmm.
And teach a fullback to do that, and you've got a fourth-string quarterback.
Yep.
Or you only have to run two quarterbacks on your roster because we're allowed to do that. You only have to dress two quarterbacks. The odds of two quarterbacks are both getting hurt in the same game when neither one of them's doing short yardage.
Yeah.
Pretty small.
It is. Because for a quarterback, there are all sorts of things that can go wrong when you're on that short yardage.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. You could jam a shoulder.
Okay.
You could hurt your wrist. There's all sorts of stuff. Get
Hey,
bent
so
back
we're
and injure your knee.
an hour and 30 minutes into our podcast here. Do you guys want to close it off for the night, or do you want to go on another mission?
Oh, I'm good.
You're good? You want to pack it in?
Want to go to bed? Yep.
Night, Will. Okay. This has been Let's Talk CFL podcast episode number 596. I've been your host, Christopher Jones. Will McDonald is past his bedtime. Say goodnight, my friend.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for listening. We're actually not the worst podcast on the radio, on whatever you'd call this.
Anything.
We are the best podcast by far and away.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyways,
Go
ahead.
Charles, say goodnight.
Good night, folks. Thanks for listening. Or if you're watching us now, you can do that now and see what we look like. I hope we didn't scare you. Thank you for listening or watching, and we'll talk to you next week.
I have one last thing to say.
Take care, everybody. We'll try. What's that, Will?
I have one last thing to say.
Okay, go ahead.
Go Riders.
Can't